Hi guys, I'm Ivory. Today's video I'm going to be doing a full face of makeup and none of the products are going to be over $8. Only 2 products are actually $8. The rest of them, most of them are only $6. I swear, every single time I try to make one of these videos, there's always one product that is $1 or $2 more than the rest. So I have to do nothing over that number when in actuality, most of the products are even cheaper than that number. I have done 3 videos just like this. I've done nothing over 15, nothing over 10, and nothing over 8. I will link those in my description box. What's different about this video versus the last time I did nothing over $8 is in this video, everything is cruelty free. I also made sure that all of the products that I use today are not duplicates or repeats of the last 3 videos. So they're all new products. Most of these items I have used before. I only have, I think, 1 or 2 items that I'm actually testing out for the first time today. But that is what today's video is. So let's get started. I'm first starting off with the NYX eyeshadow primer. And what I like about this is it's white. So when you want to do colorful looks, it'll really help the color look vibrant. But also if you want to do neutral looks and it's too white, you just take your finger and just sheer it out. When I use the Anastasia eye primer, even when I sheared it out, it looked too white, whereas this one I can shear it out a little bit better. So I actually prefer this one. For the eyes, I'm going in with the e.l.f. bite-size eyeshadow palettes. These are super cheap. These are $3 each. They come in so many different color variations and these feel really complete to me. And even if you felt like it was missing something, you could buy another eyeshadow palette to complement this eyeshadow palette and it would still be super cheap. They're all $3. I'm gonna go in with this one today. This one is Berry Bad because I wore this one somewhat recently. It was not in my last video, but I think the video before that. In terms of the quality, I would say that they're pretty good. They're not outstanding. Nothing super revolutionary. I would say it's standard. It's a decent, reliable shadow, which isn't a negative thing. I definitely would say that this is worth the money though, especially for this price. So I'm first gonna go in with this dusty mauve shade. Some of you guys have asked me before for an in-depth eyeshadow tutorial, which I am always hesitant about because I don't even feel like I've gotten it down perfectly. Every single time I do an eyeshadow look, it's still a surprise what the result is gonna be, but I'm gonna attempt to try this time. But I have really small eyes and I don't have a lot of lid space. So all the brushes that a lot of people would typically use, I use that, but in a smaller scale. First going in with this fluffy packer brush, you can see that it's crimped so that when you turn it to its side, it's flatter on one side than it is on the other side. So you can see it's not completely circular. I'm gonna take that brush and what I like to do is I create my outer V just like this. That way I have my shape down. Every single time I've noticed I use a really circular brush, sometimes this point, it looks too round. It doesn't happen on this eye, but for some reason on this eye, it never cooperates. So when I use this brush, it kind of guarantees that I'll have a little bit of that cat eye type of shape with my eyeshadow. So I start out in the outer V and I flick it up and then I go inwards. And then when there's less product, that is when I will bring in some of that color. And if you're afraid of putting too much color in here and then it looks too dark, you can always just avoid putting the eyeshadow in here and just leaving it outwards. And then when you're done with the eye look, you can fine tune it. After my shadow is down, a lot of people will take a clean fluffy brush and just buff out the edges so that nothing is too harsh. Now with a brush like this, if I blend it out, sometimes it goes up too high to my eyebrow. So what I've been doing lately is I take a Morphe M506. Now you can see how much smaller this brush is than the white one, but that's what I'm trying to say. I take brushes that people usually use and I just have a smaller scale of it and I will lightly buff out these edges and this helps me not go up too high. And if you feel like the color has faded away, just go back in and just build. Next, I'm going in with a Sigma E44. This is one of my favorite brushes. For me, it's perfect for the outer corner, like really darkening it. I'll go in with the darkest shade and I will just pack that in. And I feel like the dome of it is just like the perfect shape for what I'm trying to achieve. So I just place it down and I don't move it. Just get the color down on both eyes. Try to get that general V shape if you can. You can see that it looks super sloppy. That's okay. Just trust the process. And then with my M506, the one that I used to blend out the first shade, I'm blending out the edges once again. And then with my finger, I'm just gonna rub into any of the shades. I'm just gonna tap that onto my lid. I feel like when it comes to shimmers, the finger is honestly the best application, at least to get the first base down. I actually think it comes off way more vibrant and shimmery and more true to pan color with your finger versus a brush. And if you really wanted to perfect it and get it more of a cut crease, then is when I would take a flat shader brush and I would dip into the shade and kind of just carve the upper part to make it a little bit more crisp. But I like this as is. And this is basically the whole look. Now everything is fine tuning. So I'm gonna go in with the first brush that we use, the fluffy packer brush, and just kind of blend the outskirts because I feel like that color got a little bit lost. And I'm just giving everything kind of a once over, just re-enhancing everything that may have gotten blended away. I didn't get to use this color, so I think I'm just gonna add it in. I'll use my finger again, and on the edges where the first shimmer that I put down and this dark color meet, I'm just gonna put it in between them. And that's it. This is basically how I do my eyeshadow 95% of the time. And these are the only 3 brushes I really ever use now. I have the one brush for my transition shade. I have another brush for my outer corner. And then I have this tiny brush to blend out the edges and make sure that everything is seamless. I have some fallout, so I'm just gonna take a cotton round. This is just water. I'm just gonna make this nice and sharp. I'm moving on to my base. For a primer, I'm using the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I've used this several times on camera. I really enjoy this product. I really like to focus this product on the center of my face because that's where I have the most texture, so it just really smooths everything out. But I don't feel like this does anything in terms of longevity. It just makes everything apply nicer. And then for foundation, I'm going in with the Essence Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation. I have done a 2-day wear test on this. I will link it up in the cards. I wore this yesterday because yesterday was Easter and I was able to visit family since we were vaccinated. I was doing my makeup yesterday. You can see down here, I broke out a ton. I've come to realize that Chinese food does not agree with my face. Every single time I get takeout from my local Chinese restaurant, the next day I break out like crazy, which is sad because their food is so delicious. Yesterday, before I put on this foundation, I was looking at the acne over here and it was super dry and flaky. Like I was getting that skin just like sloughing off. So I was trying to brush it away with my hand. And as I was brushing, I was creating more sloughage. And you could just see my skin peeling. And the more I was touching it, the more I was making it worse. So I'm just like, screw it. I'm just gonna put the foundation over it and it'll just be super flaky. It is what it is. And oddly enough, when I put this foundation over it, you couldn't see any flaky skin. It just completely vanished. I could not believe it. Like, it still amazes me. This foundation is $7 and I feel like Essence just isn't really talked about too often, and it is so good. It wears really well on acne. Oh, by the way, the shade I'm using is 190 Neutral Sandstone for anyone that uses me as a shade reference. The coverage is, you know, medium. You're not gonna get super full coverage, especially if you have acne like mine, but it lays over acne and texture really well, and longevity wise, it's great. I feel like this foundation is a hidden gem that no one really talks about. I also just want to say that I know a lot of you are coming from a good place when you give me suggestions about my skin, about what to do. But if possible, I would just prefer if you didn't. I get so many suggestions and it's not like I'm doing nothing about my skin. I am trying here. So people throw a lot of ideas at me and a lot of conflicting ideas at me. So it's very overwhelming. And also it's just one of those things where I can't win. I have one person over here telling me that the reason I have oily skin is because I haven't been vegan. And another person telling me that I need to try the keto diet. And the same person who told me to go on the keto diet, she got so aggressive that I didn't respond to her, that she continually messaged me about the keto diet saying that I guess if I don't want to try it, then I don't want to admit that I'm overweight and I have bad skin. It's just a lot, but know that I am doing the best I can, okay? But Rome wasn't built in a day. I have to try products for a extended period of time to see if it's working for me or not. So I'm trying my own things off camera. I don't talk about it because, you know, I'm still trying to figure it out. So I would just please ask that you be respectful of that. So I just want to put that out there. I'm not mad. I'm just, please understand where I'm coming from. Okay, now that I've said that, we can go in with my second coat. Now, I like to wait a couple minutes between each coat because I feel like sometimes when I go in with my second coat of foundation too quickly after my first one, the first layer hasn't completely dried down yet. So I ended up just moving around the first coat. So I wait about 2 or 3 minutes for it to sink into my skin, and then I go in with my second coat. And you will see that you get more coverage with using less product by doing it that way. So you're welcome. Next, I'm going in with concealer. I'm going in with the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Creamy Concealer. I'm using the shade Medium 90W, which I think is a pretty good match for me. It's a good undertone and it's like just the right amount of lightness to add dimension to my face. I've only worn this a couple times, so I'm not really sure how I feel about this yet, but I do think that I prefer the no filter concealer, but I have used this already, so I don't, like I said, I didn't want to repeat. I hope that this is okay. I know I'm using ColourPop, which is not drugstore, it's affordable, and some people don't like that because I understand that ColourPop isn't accessible to everybody, especially if you don't live in the US. So let me know if you want me to do this type of video again, but with all drugstore makeup, like no ColourPop, because I can definitely do that. So let me know, is just affordable products okay, or do you want only drugstore for these types of videos? I don't know what it is. Do you see this crease? I only have a crease on this one eye and it bugs the shit out of me. And this eye is just over here looking flawless, being a good girl, whereas this eye always gives me trouble. This tiny little crease just really bothers me. So what I do is I take a Sigma P84. I kind of just push it in there because my sponge, even though it's pointed, it can't get as deep. That's what she said. And then I'm gonna go in with powder. I'm using the Essence My Skin Perfector Loose Fixing Powder. This is in the shade Light. This is my first time using this product, so I'm not gonna say if I recommend it or not. This looks more peachy than yellow, which is fine, but I'm only gonna set the areas where I have concealer. So my under eyes, my forehead, and my chin. I'm gonna let that chill for a second before I dust it off. I'm gonna go in with blush next. I'm going in with the e.l.f. Putty Blush, and the way I like to use this is with a duo fiber. This is the Sigma F55. I have reviewed these before. These are oily skin friendly. They will not ruin your base. There is a little bit of a learning curve to them. You can't, or at least I couldn't, put them on top of a face that was already set. You have to put it on unset foundation or else it'll kind of mess up your base. So just remember, as soon as you add foundation, concealer, go in with blush. But I find that this doesn't disturb your base. It looks really nice and natural. It lasts a decently long time, and you can wear this alone. You don't have to set this with another powder blush. You can wear this alone and it doesn't feel sticky, which is the best part, because that's a big reason why I don't wear cream products. I love how natural it looks, but I don't like that feeling on my face where I can feel the product. This dries down to a powder so that when you touch it, it just feels like skin. I'm not quite sure if this color goes with my eye look, but we're gonna pretend that it does, okay? No one's gonna say anything. We're gonna be nice and positive in the comments, right? Yes, Ivory, we will be super respectful. Thank you. And then next I'm going in with bronzer. This one is from ColourPop in the shade Afternoon Delight. I should really put this in a Z-pan. And I'm gonna use this to add some warmth back into my face. I could have also used this bronzer for my transition shade in conjunction with this. I'm just throwing you an idea because a bronzer is usually a pretty good shade to use as your transition. So that way you don't have to buy a whole other palette. You could just use this as eyeshadow, which I used to do all the time. On my lazy days, I will still do that. Or you can use blush as eyeshadow too, which I also do. If I'm feeling that brown is just too boring, so I need to amp it up. So I'll put blush instead, thinking I'm some type of wild child. I'm gonna take this clean brush and I'm just gonna wipe away any residual powder. And then I'm gonna go in with highlight. This is the Wet n Wild highlighting powder in the shade Precious Petals. And I'm gonna take a Morphe M501. And my cheeks are already looking semi-dewy because of the blush and the fact that I didn't set it. So I'm not gonna go in with too much highlight. I don't like a lot of highlight anyways. If you're new here, you should know that about me. I'm not a huge highlighting fan. And if you are offended and think me and you can't be friends, well, I truly enjoy the time we got to spend together. But I just feel like a super intense highlight is not the life for me. I will take a little bit and add it to my inner corner. I'm also gonna go ahead and finish off the lower lash line. So I'm gonna take the first brush that I used for this shade and I'm gonna go into it again and I will just smoke out the lower lash line, and I don't go all the way in. I go about 3/4 of the way. That way it doesn't make my eyes look smaller or circular. And because this color is light, I don't have to worry too much about being too low because you really can barely see it. And then I'm gonna go in with a Morphe M410. I'm gonna go into the darkest shade and I'm gonna tight line my lower lash line. I'm basically just mirroring the top colors, at least the matte colors I am. And then I'll take the M506 once again and just blend everything so it's all nice and seamless. And then I'm gonna go in with the NYX Tinted Brow Mascara. I start in the middle to tail end because at the beginning when I first open this product, that's when most of the product is gonna be dispersed, and that's where I want most of the product so that it holds this little tail in place so that it's nice and pointy. And then with the residual product, I move from the middle to the front so that there's not as much product in the front, so it's not just like chunks of brow gel. Some people tell me that they really want me to be more in depth about what I'm doing instead of just doing it, so I'd love some feedback as to whether or not you enjoyed this or if I'm just talking too much. And then afterwards is when I will go in with a brow pencil if I feel like any areas are too sparse. I actually really prefer doing it this way, going in with the brow gel, especially if yours is tinted. If it's clear, I guess this part doesn't matter, but my brow gels always have a color in them, and I've noticed that sometimes I'll do my brows and then I'll go in with a brow gel and then my brows just look a little too bold. So I feel like going backwards, doing the brow gel first and then filling in with a pencil has really helped fix that problem. So I'm gonna go in with the ColourPop Brow Boss. There's a retractable brow pencil. I've used that one too. The formula is good, but it doesn't retract, whereas this one retracts. So I would prefer this one actually. And I'm only gonna fill the areas that just need a little bit more hair. Thankfully, my brows, they're pretty full. It's just the shape. They never want to act right. No matter what I do, it's just they never want to look even. They never want to cooperate with me. Thank God the new trend is kind of just having your natural brows just be, because now that that's in, I feel like my brows are the happiest that they've ever been. Like, finally, stop trying to tame us and make us into something that we don't want to be. Just let us be. And I'm like, okay, fine. You win. So they may not look the same, and they're definitely not the same shape, but they're happy. I'm next going in with mascara. I'm using the Essence Lash Princess. This is the waterproof version. I've tried the non-waterproof version. I don't like that one as much. It's a little bit too wet for me, and when I blink, it would transfer onto my lower lash line. I definitely prefer the waterproof version of this one. In terms of holding a curl, it's okay. They still fall, but I definitely have very stubborn lashes. They do not want to stay up, no matter if I curl them or whatever I try to do. It's to no avail. But I actually really like the length and separation that it gives me. And it does not transfer on my lower lash line, so that's good. And then for lashes, I'm going in with the faux mink lashes from Beffalon. These, I think you can only find them on Amazon. These are super cheap, super comfortable, and they're $3 a box. I've never seen lashes get this cheap unless you skimp out on quality and they start to feel plasticky. These do not feel plasticky to me. Granted, I have not tried too many false lashes. I always stay in the drugstore region. I don't see the point of having like velour or lily lashes. I have this mentality when it comes to false lashes, ignorance is bliss, because I don't want to try a more expensive one and then fall in love and feel like I have to spend like 22 bucks on a pair of lashes. But I really enjoy these. They're pretty comfortable on me, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut them up. And another tip, if you're putting on lashes and you have to cut them, I have to cut them a ton. If you're tired of putting them on your lash, cutting them little by little, before you throw out your old lashes, like this is an old lash, just take your new lash and line it up so that the bands are touching, and then just cut it to the length of your old lash. That way it's perfect because you have an old one for reference. And I just cut it the one time and you can see it's perfect. All right, I'm gonna set my face. I typically would do this before mascara. I don't know why I forgot, but I'm using the one by Catrice. This one says long lasting. I know they have like a matte version, a hydrating version. I just got long lasting because, you know, we want our makeup to last as long as possible, even though I'm not leaving the house. I still am testing this one out. As you can see, it's nearly full. I haven't used it that many times, but I really like the spray of this. If you can see, it's a really nice fine mist, so it's not gonna like spit at you. And then last, I have lips. I'm using the She Glam Matte Allure Mini Lipstick Set. Willow, I'm talking! Friend, who convinced me to get 2 dogs? The amount of noise that they provide in this house from barking, it doesn't just double when you get 2 dogs, it's exponential. So you keep that in mind when you decide, oh, I wanna get my current dog a buddy. It's never just one dog that barks, it's both of them, and they mirror each other. If one's barking, the other one has to copy. But like I was saying, they come in a trio. I've never tried anything from She Glam. I'm considering doing a full face, but I mean considering like kind of, but meh. If I get to it, I get to it, that kind of mentality. This is my first time trying these, so I'm gonna try, I think it's Wonderland. Yes, the shade is Wonderland. And this is the final look. That is a full face of nothing over $8, and everything is not only it's affordable, it's cruelty free. Of the things that I said that I am trying for the first time today, the loose setting powder, I think I like it okay. Just keep in mind that the undertone is more peachy as opposed to a yellow tone, which I'm more familiar with, but I think it worked out all right. The liquid lipstick, oh, it's a little sticky. Oh yeah, it definitely has a little bit of a stick to it. So I don't know if I can recommend these. And of the things that are still new, I'm trying, but I haven't really formed an opinion on. Like I said, the ColourPop Pretty Fresh Hyaluronic Concealer. I think I like it, but I also think that I like the original a little bit more. Also the Catrice Setting Spray. I'm really enjoying this so far. I think that's it. Those are all the products that are somewhat new to me. Everything else that I used, I have been using for a while and I do enjoy them. I recommend them. So everything that I use will be listed in my description box below. That is it for this video. I hope that you enjoyed. And if you did, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and feel free to comment down below what other types of videos you'd like to see from me. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing. I would love to see you come back. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one.